What does it mean to say, I am? Is consciousness an accident of biology? Or is it the fabric of the universe? On Spinning the Light, we bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and modern inquiry. We're stripping away the illusions of the ego to find the radiant core of human existence. Join us, your hosts, Christy and Sharon, as we unravel the mysteries of the mind and illuminate the true nature of being. This is Spinning the Light.
Hello.
Welcome to Spinning the Light once again.
Yeah, for a fun time.
So, the last time that we were on, we were talking about 100 things that you can do now that you are collapse aware. If you didn't listen to the previous episode, being collapse aware is just kind of being aware that there is a energy shift that is happening in our world.
And, to be clear, it's not just in the United States. I think this is happening all over the world, and you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So not to think that it's just here. It just looks different, I think, in different places. It's like where everybody's at in that evolution, maybe, or if you want to call it that.
Yeah, and you can definitely feel it, I think, everywhere. Everybody can feel that there's maybe an unsettling feeling, just uncertainty. And so this is kind of just some practices that you can implement in your life that may help you make sense of things and make you feel more at peace in your own home, in your own body.
Especially since, I really think that's what we control. That's what we can do.
Yeah.
Those really are the things that I know we practice daily. Is how to find that little bit of sanity, that little bit of peace, that little tranquility, in your own space. And what does that look like?
For sure. So the next set that we're going into is about land and place. The 21st century, with its technologies, capitalism, globalization, pandemics, and hyper-online lifestyles, has left many of us unmoored. Rerouting ourselves in the living world, even in a single square meter of it, can be a radical act of belonging. So one of the first things suggested in this list, and again, this came from Collective Evolution, learn the names of the trees, plants, and birds in your area. Naming is the first step towards relationships.
And I think that's really true. And I cut out our hummingbird feeder. I love the hummingbirds. I love when they come, and I love that we get to be a part of that migratory process for them. If you watch, you'll see the same ones come and things like that. And you almost do learn to develop these relationships with them. And this year we planted 2 trees. We planted 2 Japanese maples, and we talk about them.
Yeah, just the process of watching them grow, going out there and making sure we water them and nurture them in that way, just taking that time to do that. There's something really special about that connection that we are creating.
And it is. And so each week we get to see this progress. We get to see the one in the front is getting fuller on the bottom, where the one in the back is getting taller, but not fuller on the bottom. But so even watching that, even within this, they're the same trees, the same kind of tree, but yet each is developing in its own way.
Yeah.
And I think that is so cool.
Yeah. And even just, sitting out in our backyard, we have a canopy of trees, really, and you'll hear the hummingbirds flying through there and we'll sit there and talk about, oh, look, they're telling their friends and their family, obviously, because, the bird feeder is getting emptier quicker. So it's just interesting.
Yeah. So we really are working on that connectivity.
Yeah. So return to the same patch of land every week for a year and witness how it changes and how you change with it. I thought that was an interesting one because I never thought about doing something like that, but that's kind of true.
Where I think you see that is when we would do little gardens for the kids, and they would have to plant from the seed. And then they would watch the seed, and then all of a sudden one day they're outside, oh my God, look what happened. It now has the berry or whatever it was that's watching that growth. And every day they were very engaged with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. It's that engagement and it's paying attention, maybe. I don't know.
Definitely paying attention. Because a lot of times we're too rushed to notice anything like that. But yeah, if you made it a point to actually go back to the same spot and see how it changed over time, yeah, that'd be interesting.
I think it's interesting when people go back home.
Mm-hmm.
You have this image of your home growing up and you leave it for a while and you're not a part of that growth.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've been in Springs now for a few years. So we've kind of grown with the city.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are coming back, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe how the city, has grown and stuff. And for us, it's been like a natural progression in a different way. So you watch your cities even grow, your communities.
Yeah, when you grow with the city, it's kind of different. And you just kind of, I guess, are maybe not even aware so much, because you just kind of live in it.
Mhm.
But that's on the growth side of it. We actually met somebody that they were talking about going back to their hometown and how it had actually basically disappeared.
Yeah, we were waiting for our tires to be done at Toyota and met some very lovely people there because, it could take a hot minute.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to have that conversation because he is trying to adjust to
Bigger
city because they have a population of 200 and something. It's tiny.
Yeah, and he said that when he went back to visit, like the one gas station had closed.
And the one diner.
Yeah, the one street light was broken. Yeah, kind of desolate, I guess.
Yeah. So, it happens in too.
Yeah, exactly. But, until you're aware. So another thing that you can do is grow something edible, even if it's a single pot of herbs on your windowsill.
And I think, what that is it's that relationship with us and earth, and it feeds us. If we nurture it, it's going to feed us. It's going to take care of us.
Yeah, exactly. It's grounding,
I used to grow a garden when I lived on the Western Slope, had a garden all the time. I don't do a garden. I do flowers every year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because our neighbor does the garden and shares, so I don't have.
That is really helpful. But yeah, the space is a little bit different for it. Yeah.
But I do go out. It's really interesting because when I go to water and stuff, because they have a grapevine and anything that grows on our side of the fence is ours. That's
Yeah.
our little, which I really, oh my God, it has so many. But I will actually go out and I will look at how it grows. And I'll even talk to you about, oh my God, look, we have all these grapes. And also a raspberry bush that grows from their side to ours. So now we had raspberries this year. So it was kind of cool. But I like to pay attention to those things. It makes me happy.
Well, I think that when we do, it slows things down and makes a difference.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So another thing you could do is collect rainwater as a gesture of stewardship and self-reliance.
Yeah, I know they're starting to do more and more of that.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd be really hard right now since we've had no rain.
Right now, we're in a drought.
Yeah, so
there's that. Offer water to the non-human life around you as a practice of reciprocity.
You know what I love is our neighbor. She has a water feature. It's a little rock fountain thing. And we went over to visit. And even as we're visiting, the birds that stop by.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the bear also. So we figured this out too. We think the bear is just hanging out waiting for all the fruit to come to get ready and come because the bears come in every night now. It stops off, drinks at her house. By our front door, we have natural grasses and things like that. It's all landscaped in that. Well, we now found where the bear's sleeping. The bear's sleeping there. So, yeah.
He's bedding down right there in that nice.
He's just waiting. He's waiting for the blackberries, the raspberries, and the grapes.
Yes.
So
he's got it made there.
And trust me, if he's first in line, he can have them.
Learn the indigenous history of the ground beneath your feet and the stories that colonialism tried to erase.
Oh my goodness, that's such a big thing. If you listen and on our YouTube page,
Worlds of
Wonder by Spinning the Light, we went to Chimayo, New Mexico, and it's a santuario. So it's been around since the 1800s. So it was really cool. And for me, because the person who founded it was actually an Abeta who's part of our lineage. And so it really does. It has a very different feel to it, a connectedness, if you allow it, you know. And then shortly after that, we went to Mesa Verde, and that's all about the Pueblo Indian, and I'm part Native American. So for me, it's been a really cool thing, and you've been along for the ride, and I think enjoying learning about the culture here and stuff. And then we go do trails that are Ute, that were part of the Ute Nation. And even in doing that, when we're hiking and stuff, we will always take that time to pause.
Mm-hmm.
And in that pause, we listen and we feel, and you can feel that connectivity.
I think there is an energy that lives in the land and the things around us. And when you stop and really pay attention, you can feel that connectedness to it. Yeah, as she mentioned on the Worlds of Wonder, we have some clips of those different trips and just some of the stories that go with it, you know, especially there in Mesa Verde. It talks about the people and how they collected water and just the different things that they created in that space. And it's really interesting.
What I thought was really cool is a celebration. They could basically stand on one cliff dwelling, and the way the sound carried. So they could do this through music and through drumming. They could let everybody know we're having a celebration. And then so the ones from all the other cliff dwellings would hear it, and that was the invitation. So then they just have this huge gathering.
Yeah.
You know, and it was through sound.
Yeah.
That was their idea of text messaging, I guess.
Well, and I think, you know, you see a shift in people now where that they want to get back to community. And so learning the stories of how community was created back in those times, I think is pertinent to today and what we're seeing with people. You know, they're wanting more peace and tranquility in their lives. And I think they're wanting to find those people that are like-minded.
Well, and I think sometimes we overthink it. We think we have to be doing so many more things. In actuality, it's the opposite of that.
Yeah,
it's not in the doing.
When you're doing less, you actually make room for more.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that is so key. And I think that, but I think our mind gets to where we think differently, in that we think, oh, okay, now I got to go create a community. Now I got to go do this. No, no. It's do it organically.
And sometimes we're overthinking.
Sometimes it's a simple thing of saying hello to the neighbor. One of our neighbors walks every day, has been walking now for about 1.5 or 2 years. And she's very diligent, but she never talks nothing. So the last couple of times I was out and she was walking up, and I said good morning to her, kind of startled her because I was kind of where the bear nest. So she goes, oh, good morning. So it kind of startled her. So was watering a few days ago, and I'm watering, and it was kind of spraying the sidewalk. So I just kind of stopped spraying, you know, to let her go by. And she says, good morning. I says, well, good morning. And then she stops and she goes, I would have gone by faster had this not been the end of the trip, because now she's tired. But each day it's a natural flow. We're not forcing anything.
Yeah.
We just, and the neighbor next door doesn't really talk, but we wave.
Right.
It's not thinking, oh my God, I've got to go talk to everybody in the neighborhood, and that's going to be so much more time away, because our time is important.
Yeah.
But the stuff that we are talking about here is about utilizing your time in a different way.
Yeah. It's definitely about slowing down.
Oh, really?
Forage something wild to remember your gatherer roots and capacity to feed yourself. So I really haven't done a whole lot of harvesting type of stuff, but I do remember one day volunteering to go pick strawberries, which was an experience. I do not like spiders. I just want you to know there's lots of spiders in the strawberries here. So that was interesting.
You were one and done?
I was one and done, but it was an experience, and I'm grateful for it in that it made me appreciative. You know, what people do to harvest and go through to bring food to our tables. You know, that's.
I think you forget that Mom and Dad told us to go out and pick spinach.
Oh, yeah, we did do that. Yes.
So on our farm, the spinach would grow wild. So they tell us, go pick spinach. So we're out there
You could be out there a week and you might have a pot when you're done.
Even though your
Good.
bag is, you pick a huge bag of spinach, you cook it down and you got a little ball here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool where I grew up too. We had the wild spinach, but we also had the asparagus that would grow wild. And then one of our farmers had potatoes, so we would go pick potatoes. So I grew up a little different than you.
Yeah.
We picked a lot. Carrots, the garden.
I know one of the things that we like to do, even though we don't go harvest, is actually go to like farmers markets and things like that and support in that way.
That's another really good thing. And I'm glad you brought that up because it is, we have them here in summer, but is anytime we can support those local people because we're contributing to their hard work, we're contributing to that growth, the growing that they do, and we get to benefit from it, and so do they. And I think that's another thing is you can tell it's a farmer's market because the dirt's still on the veggies.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah.
To me, that's important too.
Walk at dawn or dusk without headphones. Listen for the whispers from the wild.
Oh,
I think that can be really tranquil. I don't see too many sunrises, but I'm there for the sunsets.
and it's interesting that they pick dawn and dusk.
Yeah.
And I think it's because dawn is the awakening and dusk is that settling in for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at dawn, you hear different things than you're going to hear at dusk.
This is true.
The birds, we have birds and their idea of starting their day is what, sometimes 4:30, 5 in the morning.
4:30 usually is when I hear them start. So when the early bird gets the worm, as they say, I'm guessing.
I don't know, they're happy birds because, man, they don't stop. But it's funny. They start and then they stop. I mean, when they stop, they stop.
Yeah, usually around 6 o'clock, they're done.
Yeah, nothing else. It's crazy. But see, because we've learned to observe. And I think that's and at first it was annoying. Now I'm just sort of like, oh, here come the birds.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're going to stop them. But yeah, so I think even that, just the observation of things, I think is important too.
Yeah. Compost food scraps and witness waste becoming nourishment. I know a lot of people do this, and kudos to them. I have not gone into learning all about that. But I think it's really good that people can do that and,
Well, we give back. Yeah. And I think everything we're talking about is developing a relationship and understanding that the earth gives to us and we give back to the earth. Yeah. Because, we have a lot of stuff that's not giving back to the earth. And our earth, it's like feeling our earth being strangled, whether it's the plastics in our oceans or any kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fires that we have that are just burning out of control and,
Exactly. Make a pilgrimage on foot, even across your own town, to reconnect with the reality of distance. I think that there's something to be. I'm grateful every single day for Shazam. That's our car. Name our car Shazam. And I'm very grateful that she gets us everywhere we need to go.
But what's interesting is we decided one day we were going to take this walk. So we're going to walk from our house down to the stoplight.
Yeah.
We learned a few things. First off, it was much further on foot than it was in Shazam. And, oh my God, in our streets are the incline and decline in our streets is, whoa. If you want a good workout, not even trying, this is what you... And it was amazing when we got home. It's like, oh my God, that was so much further than I realized. Now we do it and it's not the same because I don't know, we've learned to have an appreciation. I don't know what it is, except when we're doing that incline, it's like, oh God, here comes the incline to this. But yeah, it's interesting because we don't have an awareness.
Right.
And we forget just the luxuries of the Shazams that get us from place to place. And we forget to use the things that we have, which is our legs.
For sure. And I think what they're talking about here too, like people didn't used to have those options and they had to maybe walk a long way for water or those kinds of things. And That's something that we have to think about.
And I think it's interesting because, when you travel, do you ever just stop and think before cars, what that had to look like?
Hmm.
There wasn't a road. People had to navigate this,
Yeah.
but they were also more in tune to nature and those things than we are.
They would have had to have been. I always think about because they tell me stories of my grandmother who was born in New Mexico and her family decided to move to Missouri and they traveled that distance in a covered wagon. I can't even imagine what that was like, what they went through. I mean, that
We,
just blows my mind.
I think we get so caught up in the luxuries that we have today that we forget and we stop using our bodies.
Yeah.
We don't have the same movement, and we see that later on in life with people. Their bodies are breaking down faster, or they're having more issues with joints and all of that. And the reason why is because of either we're staying in front of a computer to entertain us, so we're not going out to be entertained anymore.
Hmm.
A video game or whatever you're doing is easier than going outside and playing outside, and being in the sun. I mean, all of those things that we're no longer doing, we're going to see just how much of a detriment it is to us.
Yeah.
I know that, a lot of people are, and I'm grateful. I'm hearing more and more people saying about, I'm getting out, I'm walking, I'm paying attention. I'm going to a lake and sitting at the lake and I'm fishing or I'm just being present, where I'm going on hikes.
Yeah.
Where we live, a majority of people I talk to, it's very rare that I hear somebody who says, I hate hiking. I
Yeah.
just have one client, doesn't like the outdoors, period, which is okay. But the thing is they are out there and they are being a part of nature. But once again, even when we go out on hikes, the hike is the hike is important,
Hmm.
but for us, it's that connection. So it is stopping, it is pausing, it's listening, it's looking, it's feeling.
Yeah. When we get to an area and there's a picturesque spot or whatever, we will take the time to take a picture or just sit there and just enjoy it for a minute and, you know, breathe in the air.
And it was so funny. I had a client, and because of COVID, they couldn't go out and do stuff. So she started hiking. She had never hiked.
Hmm.
And she said, it got to where I just felt this need to hike. She said, it was when I was hiking that I felt closer to God and to all things.
Yeah.
And so that tells you it slowed everything down for her. And it gave her that moment of pause. And I think that's the important piece. We're not pausing.
Mm-hmm. No, that's exactly what it comes down to is I feel like that any of these practices is for us to slow things down and realize that how much control we can actually have in, I mentioned to you the other day, here we are halfway through July already. And that just blows my mind. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, how are we halfway through 2026? And unless you actually slow yourself down, you constantly feel like that you're behind because everything feels like it's going so fast.
And I think the thing that I have to realize and then we talk about is it's a practice.
Yes.
And it's really easy to get out of the practice with people pulling you from all ends. I need this, I need that, or all of the stuff that goes on. So I think that remembering it's a practice.
Mhm.
And but the thing is to remember to practice. And if you miss a day or you miss 2 days, it's okay. You go back to the practice because there's so much happening.
Mhm.
It feels like we're still at the end of the day, we're in control of, do we let it continue to happen that way? Or do we slow it down and do what we have to do? And I think it's having that awareness. And sometimes, I lose my awareness a little bit. And then what happens is,
We all do. And, there's been a lot of things I've seen posted lately, kids get a lot of screen time, so do adults. I mean, we're constantly in front of a screen. So I think sometimes we just have to move away from that space and give ourselves a little time with the things that are right around us.
And we happen to live in a city that is surrounded by nature.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some cities that are not. But you have a city park, you have your backyard, you can grow your own plant.
Yes.
There are all these things that we can do, these little tiny things. To grow an herb garden, I can't tell you how many people grow herb gardens in their home
Yeah.
and things like that. So it's not that we can't do it, it's that we have to make the space for it. We have to make the time for it.
Exactly. I was reminded of a post I just shared the other day. Many things aren't equal, but everyone gets the same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We make time for what we truly want. And it is true.
It is. And I think that we're learning this, and I keep saying, one of the things is I want to really slow down. And because sometimes stuff comes up, then I get all wrapped up in that and it becomes a practice.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And for me, I'm grateful because one of my practices is once again planting the trees, watching them, the hummingbirds. I used to love my parents. Not used to, I still love them. But one of the things they would do is when I would go over and visit them, their chair faced the window so they could see outside. And we had this giant storage tank there. And my parents would spend, I don't know how much time watching the pigeons.
Yeah.
And they would tell me the stories of how the pigeons were doing it. It was amazing because they look at that pigeon, it wants to throw the other one off. He needs to play nice. Things like, but they were they were engaged with nature in this way. You know it.
Yes, even creating stories about it. And you couldn't help but do that. And it wasn't even just the pigeons. If you'll remember, stuff because your mom would take stuff out there and leave for the cats, I guess.
Yeah.
And sometimes you would look out there and there would be the magpies, there would be the cats, there would be a fox,
Skunk.
Yes, all of these animals out there eating together.
Lined up eating. And when I saw this, I told Mom, I said, Mom, those are predator and prey. She goes, not there. They're just eating. She goes, I just feed my.
Yeah.
Like, that was so funny. Oh, yeah. She watched our dog for a while. Yeah. Our dog came back like
Twice the size.
But they loved, they would just do that. But they would watch that would crack me up though about the birds. So you know what? I would be there and I would get there and I say, how are the pigeons today? They're not part of the family.
Yeah, the saga continues.
But those are the things that I think are so cool, is just sitting down, looking out your window, watching the birds, whatever you can find in the space that you have. Just do that.
To pause, be reflective, just look around at what's going on. Touch what been missing.
Touch the earth.
Yeah.
Touch it. Even when I plant, she didn't like to plant because she didn't want to get her hands dirty.
That's not about getting my hands dirty. There just might be some creepy crawlies in there.
And I have to, I love touching the earth. So, just those things, touch the earth. Look at the trees, learn your trees, name your trees, have a relationship with them, become their friends.
So hopefully you have gleaned something from this conversation today. And if you have, please share with friends, family.
Yeah. If you like our podcast, which I hope you do if you're listening to it, tell a family member, tell a friend.
Yeah.
Spread it. We're trying to build this community. This is what we want. We want a community where we are sharing ideas, but we want an interactive community. I do Noon Vibe, and I tell you this. So I do Noon Vibe every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that's always time. I love Noon Vibe because it's interactive. People jump on, my last one, say 249 people were on, some listening, some jumping on, it doesn't matter. We're building this community and I'll see, these same people are coming on every week. That's so cool. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to develop and to grow this community of people who have the desire to spend not only their light, but to help others spend theirs.
Yes, because we have a ripple effect in that. And that's why one of the things I love about the new vibe is that people get to share and we get to hear their stories. And so it really makes it a place where that you can share your ideas and maybe learn some things through other people's experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, in order to build this community, like I said, if you listen, tell your friend, tell your family, ask them to listen, ask them to subscribe, join, whatever we do,
Go to our website, spinningthelightpodcast.com, and you can subscribe there. Enter your email address, and you'll get an email anytime we post a new episode. We would appreciate it so much. We are also on all social media, and you can hear the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
We are on YouTube, Worlds of Wonder by Spinning the Light, and that's where we like to share our travels. And so it's where the outer world meets the inner world.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. We like it. Anyway,
Thanks for
thank you
listening.
so much, and we will be back. Bye.
Bye.